go.
Oh, we're starting. Oh, here we go.
You're listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
You know, it's funny. We always say directly from those that know it most, but we actually have someone in here that knows it most. What's up, everyone? Paul Apostolakis, Brad Wise-Gerber.
Paula Pastelakadropoulos.
Yeah. Salvatore Kuzma. I mean, we have a lot of letters in our last names.
We do.
Yeah, we got maybe all of them.
Consonants.
We have I'm like super excited about this guest today. It's Nancy Robinson. She is one of the best in the business. Nancy, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Thank you for coming to the show. We're doing well because you're here.
Aw.
Yeah, we're really excited because Nancy really knows her stuff. Nancy's been in the business. I don't even know. How long have you been in the business now?
21 years.
Wow. And you have
But since I work, double time, it's for like 42.
Right. In the real estate years, you're 800.
Yeah, like dog years,
Yeah.
real estate years, like
Yeah.
890.
So,
good point.
I mean, Nancy obviously
thought
has
about
built an awesome business. She has a great following. It's funny because our business has a lot of people that do really well, and they kind of like talk. When you talk about like someone like Glover, somebody be like, oh, Glover, or this person. That. Nancy does not like. Nancy's reputation is impeccable in the industry, which is good.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I want to kind of talk to you about that. I do want to talk about the market. You do a lot of great market analysis. I've seen that.
Right.
I've seen that you do that. So I want to talk to you about that. I want to talk about your story and what your plans are going forward and what you see going forward more than anything. And of course, we're going to talk about the interest rate market right now because it's really crazy.
It's crazy.
We did not expect to be
It's unreal.
at this point
This
right
low.
now. What's that?
This low.
No, we did not. And everybody's calling. No, it's funny because it's changed so much. Everybody's calling for it to go lower now.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
It's wild.
Yeah,
I
if
feel like
if the bond yield was a human, I'd be very concerned for its
Yeah.
health. It's bleeding every day.
It's
It's
crazy.
really interesting what's happening. But let's get into Nancy. Like, obviously, you've had some changes recently, but talk to me about where you are right now in your career because it seems like you're in a really good place with it.
Wow. So, okay. Just had a big change. I went from the brokerage I was with for like 20 years to a new one, but they've been around for forever.
Yeah.
So Kernan Oberski is also Century 21 firm.
Yeah.
Adam Oberski took over from his father-in-law, essentially, is transitioning. That was Bob Curran, so old-timers would know that name.
Okay.
Adam has been in the business about 5 years. He's an MBA finance.
Smart guy.
Smart guy,
Yeah.
young guy, too.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
impressive. He said he was like 37 years
he's
old.
37.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And, you guys know, because you're in that same age range, is that success is his only option.
Only option.
Only option,
Yeah,
because
you-
he's not going to do anything else.
Yeah. You
He's
don't
got
have
30 years to put into this.
Can't fail. This
Can't
is the prime
fail.
of our
He
years.
won't
Yeah.
fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't fail. Can't do it.
Does he have a family or anything?
He does. He has 3 kids.
That's a pretty big motivator.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 kids
It
and
sure
a wife.
is.
Sal needs to get some
So-
kids.
I don't know about that.
Sal, you have a wife?
No.
No. Right. Girlfriend?
No,
Sal-
but I don't want to go back to school. So
Sal has a girlfriend.
Has to get a
I don't think he
girlfriend.
heard you say that.
Yeah.
He has a girlfriend.
yes, I have a girlfriend.
Okay, well
Yes,
then
he does have a
maybe
girlfriend. She's
clarify
wonderful.
somehow girlfriends can turn into wives. So
Somehow.
Well,
Yeah.
she makes
That's the
me want
right
to be at the
girlfriend.
office more. So
Oh.
just kidding.
Yeah, good thing she doesn't listen to the show. So,
Oh man.
so talk to me. So Century 21's interesting to me because they just went through this whole rebranding, right?
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
for me, even on the outside looking in, it was like the brand was getting kind of antiquated over time,
for sure.
right? And now they're really kind of focusing on doing this rebranding. So what are they doing differently now?
So the other thing with that is our CEO is like 37.
Oh, okay.
And
Really?
so his name is Mike Meadler. Mike has been when he got out of graduate school,
Yeah.
he started with Century 21. So that was like 10 years ago. So
Okay.
he's like a brand wonk.
Yeah.
And for him also, failure
Is not
is not an option.
Yeah.
So he really wants to take this brand, back to its roots and then forward.
Yeah.
So we've really focused on training and technology.
Yeah, it's big.
And yeah,
'Cause
just
you
the
could've gone any-
programs are crazy. Like, so when I knew I was going to make a change, I interviewed with every broker out there, with a couple exceptions that I already knew wouldn't be a good fit.
Right.
And literally nobody had the training programs for new and experienced agents.
kind of a good mix of the two, right?
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, because if you've been in the business for a while, you also have to like be on top of like the what's coming out next, right?
Absolutely, right. And so being with people who are, you know, on the younger side, and here's what I mean by that. The average age for a realtor is 57.
Right.
So 37 is 20 years younger than the average.
Right.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
If that average is there, then there's on the other side of the spectrum too, right?
Right. And
Yeah.
and those are folks that are just kind of, you know, checking in, riding off the top of, you know, maybe 30, 40 years of success, and they're doing, you know, maybe a transaction a year
They're
or
fine.
a
Yeah,
transaction a month.
That's the
You know, not
right.
just really not that much. So, you know, reining in, you know, the newer technology pieces, you know, the social media pieces. You're like doing a podcast.
Yeah, you're
You
doing
know,
a
this
podcast.
kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, this is a really cool kind of techie way to
connect with people.
connect.
Yeah.
So the old school thing is kind of steeped in the human relationships. It's very relational, and then the tech is how you get the relationships, maybe kind of push them forward or get the information out there.
Yeah.
So finding some blend of old and new is what's really pulling people together on this.
Sal, we talk about this all the time in our business. It's like we can't forget what works, but we've got to utilize technology and other avenues.
Well, the technology gets you more at bats, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And whether it's a relationship you want to make with a business partner, whether it's, you know, talking to a client who's never heard of you, if you don't have the at bat, you can't do what you know how to do.
Right.
Well, it's not just the at bats. I mean, our industry changes constantly, and technology changes
Well, yeah,
constantly.
it can help
Constantly.
you when you're at the plate,
Yeah,
right? I
so
mean,
being in tune with technology, or at least familiar with changes, is going to help you.
well, imagine, hey, can you send me the contract to sign? And you're like, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
email it to you, print
Yeah.
it out, sign it, and email it back to me, or fax it.
Yeah, or
You
do
can
it
actually even mail it, right? Like,
Yeah.
people are like,
I'll
"What?"
mail it to you, and you can sign it.
Or just click a button, right?
Yeah.
And that's like just a small thing that we probably take for granted every day, but
Absolutely do.
15 years
Yeah.
ago, no one was using DocuSign.
Some people still
right?
use
I don't
you know,
think it was 15
signatures,
years
right?
ago.
Well, and even like you know, just kind of understanding the difference between the different kind of signing programs is really important. You know, like .loop is owned by Zillow,
Yeah.
Right.
and
I
there's a
didn't-
privacy policy on that. So
Yep.
if you check the box that you're going to use .loop, you just gave Zillow all your forms.
I didn't realize they
Right.
owned it.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So even like Keller Williams, which is a big proponent of .loop,
Yep.
they're clicking off on it
So for anybody
Really?
that's using
because they've really
technology,
realized
yeah.
that now Zillow is
Yeah.
taking their proprietary.
That's their data.
That's their data.
Which is very, very valuable.
Right. And so, like, just kind of understanding also how the MLS is actually owned by a group called CoreLogic.
Yep. We know CoreLogic.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very well.
So, data mining company.
And CoreLogic makes a lot of money selling data.
A lot of money.
A lot of money.
a lot of
So
data.
we need to understand. All of us need to understand how our, you know, phone call with just, you know, some person or somebody you meet in an open house is going to impact all of our futures on this.
Yeah.
And how that's really going to work in.
I'm so happy you brought that up because I think there's something out there that doesn't get looked at enough, and it's one of the most valuable things that agents and our companies have is data.
Correct.
And if we can own that data, there's a lot of value there. And what happens a lot of times is, like you said, a lot of people use third-party apps, and we have one that we could use. But I'm very, very keen of what's that privacy policy?
Yeah.
Right.
What does it say? Do I own my data? And if
Read
you
the
own my
fine
data,
print.
I'm out. I'm out. It's my data,
Yeah.
right? And I need, and you can utilize it. So talk to me how, you know, for you being in the industry for so long, because a lot of agents at your level at this time just decided like, okay, I'm going to get what I get, and I'm good, and they're not really as growth minded. So walk me through what made you decide to like really start thinking, okay, I want to start evolving, which is rare for most good agents at your level.
Right. So I'm one could figure that I'm, you know, at the top of, you know, the mountain at the moment.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I like that you realize that. Most
Yeah.
people
Or
don't.
acknowledge it. Yeah.
well,
That's good.
it's how long do I want to stay there, and how do I want to stay there?
Yeah.
So, with this new broker, he's allowing me to step back through the other systems that are in place and the support that's in place for me to think about it more clearly. So for me, I'm realizing that we're shifting into a buyer's market. Now that's
Absolutely.
because I'm a stats wonk.
Yeah, we're going to
You
talk
know,
about that. I
yeah,
want to talk
right,
about that.
right?
Yeah.
Because I like that. I like
Yeah.
really watching numbers. People lie. they spin it the way they want it to look.
Emotion doesn't tell everything, right? And people are just because I feel like things are gonna be awesome, they might not be awesome.
Coming from Paul.
Yeah.
Well, in certain markets, like right now, yeah, everything's great. I can list any cute house between 150 and 230, and it's going to fly off the shelf in a minute.
Yeah.
But that's because we've, there's a number of reasons. But it does have to be a cute house. It can't be like an uncute house.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you look at our market, it's really kind of flat from last year.
Mm-hmm.
And what's going to then push things forward is working more with buyers and treating them, even as a more important piece of this puzzle.
That's
Because sellers
interesting.
can't sell without buyers.
Yes.
But as a pretty big listing agent,
Yeah.
there's only so many hours in the day. So my next step is to take on some buyers agents.
Yeah.
And that's
So
going to help all
growing.
of our
That's
right.
growth,
And
yeah.
I need to talk with enough people to know like whose head can really be in the game and who really wants to do that.
Right.
So that's
Right.
that's the next
It's a
piece.
different kind of person, I feel like, to be a buyer's agent as opposed to a listing agent.
Well, it's funny because
some
most
people like that, right? Some
to
people,
start. Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I
But they
think
need someone to start to finish. Or
Right.
a few people.
Well,
yeah.
So
it's lonely at the top of the mountain, right? There's not really that many people that are like-minded that are
I'd like to be lonely. I'd love to be lonely.
I'm just saying, like,
you know why? It's because most of them they get to the top and they become jerks.
Yeah.
well,
100%. Yeah. I don't wanna-
and-
Stop being if you don't be a jerk, you won't be lonely.
Right.
No
I'm
comment.
not
but
lonely.
most people aren't willing to either accept the help that will help them get to the top
Right.
or have the drive to get there, right? It's
the
like,
drive to
man,
stay
this
there.
is really hard. They can't even leave base camp.
You also have to have the vision
Yeah,
of
right.
understanding that what you've been doing isn't going to get you to the next level. Right? You've got to evolve. And no matter how great you are, if you're not evolving, you will, like look at Netflix. Or excuse me,
Right.
Blockbuster, right? They're
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
top of the mountain. They didn't evolve. Gone.
Right. Right.
Right.
Right.
Have you you interviewed with a lot of different brokers out there? So
Yep.
talk to me about why you chose Century 21. Because you seem like you got to put together. You have a good vision, right? You understand what you need to do.
You would have been successful anywhere. Is
Yeah,
the
right.
point, right.
Even on
So
my
like,
own.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
curious because we've had like EXP on and a couple of these other type of models. Why'd you go with a Century 21 versus a model like that, or like 100% commission, or like a larger split, or something like that? I'm just curious.
Well, I don't want to be on my own. So because you've got to put way too many systems in place, and that would take me away from doing what I do best.
Yeah.
So why recreate?
right.
You buy a building, or you hire your infrastructure. You putting all that stuff together. It's about the same cost every year as just paying somebody.
right.
It's already built.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
money,
already built.
Move into
money
a house
isn't
that's already
everything.
built.
No, it makes
right?
perfect sense.
Yeah.
I was just curious because
I now have like 3 admins. I pay for my Katie, but the
My
other
Katie.
3 admins, my Katie,
What's up,
my
Katie?
admin, yeah, hey Katie, but the other admins that are out there, it comes from the brokerage fee that I
Right.
pay.
Yeah.
So
So you
instead of me
understand
paying them a salary, Social Security,
Yeah.
Right.
just all that. It's some of this just doesn't make any sense to build a model that
You want to run, right?
right.
You want to
do
have
what
the-
I do
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
So that's why that kind of those single brokerage or EXP things don't really work out that well.
Well, it's like
Right.
on the loan side, right? Like you could go hang your hat with as a loan officer, you could go hang your hat with some broker who's completely absent, right? Make a giant split, but you got to process your own files. You got to do this. You got to
Right.
do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Something goes awry, no one's there to help you.
Yeah.
Or do you want
versus-
the broker that's going to offer you all the support in the world so you can run and
Yeah.
get business,
Right.
right? So that's our model. That's basically how we look at it. We want to provide that for the guys that get on
Yeah,
our
and
team.
I think sometimes too, going back to the age thing too. If it was 20 years ago, I might think about this differently. But like right now,
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I might retire in 15 years.
You're not retiring. you're not retiring.
I'm thinking about retiring in 10 years.
Nancy, you're never retiring.
Right.
So talk to me about how
So-
important. Go ahead.
But
Finish
but
it.
like
Yeah.
back so a lot of some of the brokers out there were like, hey, yeah, we'll open you an office because they're all in Birmingham, right?
Right.
So we're like, well, okay, we'll open an office for you in Royal Oak, and they didn't. It's
What do you
like,
mean they
okay,
didn't? They
like
just
they
didn't do
wanted
it?
to open an office for me, and I'd staff it.
and they
then
didn't do it?
No, and didn't do it.
Oh, that's smart.
So you call back and say, okay, what's your plan? How are we going to do this? No. We don't have the money yet. We're not ready to do.
Interesting.
Some of them are talking about downsizing.
Yeah.
So
Not exactly where you
because
wanna be.
because a lot of them, like you take some of these offices that have 250 agents, 50 of them work.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They're
Maybe,
warehousing
yeah.
the rest of them. You know, so they're paying for these brick and mortars. You know, in some cases, some huge rents.
Yeah.
You know,
So people probably drink
Birmingham.
more coffee than they
Yeah.
generate. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that didn't make any sense. And then there was a couple of them. This is back to the like thinking about the future.
Uh-huh.
Some of them said, in fact, one of them was going to give me this huge sign-on bonus and a car and no fees. And
You get a car.
Did you get to pick the car?
It had to be green. So we already got a greenish car. But anyway, it's all cool. Beautiful.
Yeah.
But the thing was they wanted me to change my email address to their proprietary brokerage.
They want to own you.
I'm a Gmail. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about wire fraud for a minute.
Yeah.
Right?
Happens a lot.
So if they're out there tracing people with
Yeah.
proprietary emails,
It's
I don't
really
want
easy to
get,
spoof it.
You know, one wrong forward of an email that somebody captures, my E&O won't pay for an $180,000.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, that's a
capture.
mistake. Yeah.
Right. So sticking with a Gmail or you know, any realtor out there, don't use proprietary email.
Your mind works very differently.
especially
I like it.
Yeah.
too,
Right.
when you think about what you build into an email or a phone number over the years,
Yeah.
it's a bitch to change it.
Right.
You
And
know?
that
I
goes,
mean,
it's
so
your-
that goes to another thing.
it's your
People
book of
know me as
business.
Nancy Robinson, Century
Yeah.
21.
Yeah.
So
What are you
fine.
going to do if you miss an email, right? Hey, you never
No,
responded,
right.
Well, I changed my email. Well, that'd been nice to know, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So the people in the Century 21 system know me, and you know, so that was kind of easy. But mainly it was because, you know, and you got to get Adam to come in here because he's just dynamite.
I'd love to have him on.
He's just dynamite.
Yeah, let's bring him on.
He's
Adam, if
crazy.
you're listening, you're next.
Yeah.
So, you know, it seems to me that you value different things than a lot of other agents do, which is interesting. A lot of agents go for the shiny object. They go for the bigger splits. And, you know, right.
90%.
We
90%.
do that
That's a
anyway.
different shiny object.
90% of agents would have taken that car in the signing bonus for sure, and then they would have stuck it out for 6 months and went somewhere else.
Had to do 2-year contract though.
Most people would have done that.
I mean,
for sure.
even loan officers, what they'll do is there's all these signing bonuses, and they'll go to like Bank of America,
10
like
G's a
15
month.
Gs.
They never even made that in their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's done, and they're like, "Where
I
can
gotta
I
go
go
somewhere
next?
else."
Well, who's
Yeah.
going to give me the next signing?
They're not really building a business. They're just taking money. Anyways, it's a money grab.
It's a long game.
Yeah. So,
You do the long game,
what do
yeah.
you look for when you look for people that you partner with? What's important to you? Because you know, a lot of people are, you know, some people don't really think of creating a team around them the way that a lot of people should.
Right, that's
where,
right.
Because your success is based on all facets of the business. It's not
Right.
just what you do; it's what your LOs do, what your title companies do, what your insurance people do. So, what do you look at when you're trying to decide who do I work with?
Really, accountability, honesty, transparency.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just
Things that are hard to fake.
impossible to
You
fake.
can't
Yeah.
fake that stuff. Yeah.
I can't stand fake.
Well,
No.
the truth always
I still
comes
like
through,
fake.
right?
Yep.
Like on our end, if we say, "Hey, we think we can get it done Friday," but you don't really know, right? And
Right.
then
And it doesn't
Thursday
get Friday,
night,
yeah.
are we closing tomorrow? I think so.
I'll let you
right?
know in the
Like,
morning.
that's like nightmare,
Crazy.
right?
Nancy,
As
everything's
opposed
fine.
to like,
everything's fine. Everything's fine, right? No,
Can't
no.
as
stand
opposed to,
that.
"Hey, we're closing next Wednesday or sooner."
Yeah.
You just need to know.
Hang
what
your
you
hat
need
on
to know.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
I know what will happen
Yeah.
by then.
And then
Right?
if you come
it
back and
happens
say
Friday,
Monday,
great.
awesome.
Yeah, I want people that can give me good news as well as bad news, just straight up,
Yeah. Like,
straight up.
Yeah. Just give
Bad
it.
news
yeah.
is
Speak your
travel.
truth. I mean, really, just speak your truth.
Sometimes the bad
Just be
news is
yourself
better
and
than
speak your
yeah.
truth.
good news, right?
Bad news should travel faster than good news.
Like,
you gotta get that out there.
well, once in a
Yeah.
while we'll be on a deal, and it's like,
Ain't
I don't feel
happening.
good about this one.
Right.
You know,
It's
like,
hard to say no because as
It
LO,
is,
it's,
right?
in our
Yeah.
business, you always want to say yes. I want to take the deal, right, but that's not the right thing to
And
do.
it-
If the deal's not going to work,
Right.
say no.
I'll even pass
say
on it
no.
sometimes
Yeah.
if it.
or even if you're not really good at it.
Yeah, like there's like a 50% chance this closes. I don't even want to deal with it. Like,
Yeah.
they got another pre-approval with whoever. If they
if
feel
they think they
confident
can
enough
do
to
it,
close
have them do it.
it.
Because ultimately, what LOs a lot of times don't realize in our business is if I take a deal and I fail at it, there's no coming back from that.
Right.
I would rather give it to someone that I know can handle it. Let's say a Mishta deal. We don't do
Yeah.
Mishta, right? Give it to someone that
Right.
specializes in
Or
this stuff.
203K or something.
203K.
Yeah.
We can do them. I don't want to do them because we
Right.
don't specialize in them.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
It's a bad experience.
It's a bad
so
experience.
by the way, Lake Michigan Credit Union's really good with MISHDA.
They are.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
they're really good at new construction.
Yes.
And,
they are.
and we refer them
Right.
out all the time.
Yeah,
That's
love
what we
them.
refer to.
We probably refer out a lot of business and people are like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just keep it? Because we're not greedy, A, and B,
Right.
our brand is more important than us having a bad experience
There
for the
you go.
borrowers.
Right.
And again, it's back
Yeah.
to the relationship. Hey, I
Yep,
got a
that's
guy
right.
at Lake Michigan Credit Union who will easily
Right.
do you
Yeah.
that new construction loan. I just passed up on a $700,000 loan that, like, I thought maybe by chance I could
did?
spin through
Call them back.
Flagstar or whatever, and it ends up. But honestly, it wouldn't even be worth it.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, it wouldn't even be worth it.
Because that one bad experience could
Right.
ruin that relationship with the agent, the broker, the title company,
Yeah.
the client, and their sphere of influence.
Sure.
But in
enough.
return,
It's not
that
worth
relationship pays me back loans that they can't do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
You know,
Right.
there's a lot of young agents actually watching us right now. I'm looking at who's, by the way, Mary Anderson Reed says hello, and Sarah Chody says hello.
guys.
So because you've done this and you've been through ups and downs, you've lived through the crash. What do you tell an agent that's in the business, that's been in it for a year, that's actually wants to do this as a career? Because there's a big population that think they want to do it, they're out, right? They're
Right.
never going to make it because you have to have a huge commitment. What do you say?
Paul, the truth is, they last 4 months.
Yeah,
New agent, that's the average.
right.
4 months. Find a broker that will train you.
Find a good mentor.
Good training.
Good training.
Yeah.
Real
Like
training.
real training, not like, hey, do this and give
yeah,
here's a
BS
phone book,
right.
right? No, right. So like, what goes into that training? So if you were training a new LO, what would you tell them are the 3 or 4 most important things they need to focus on?
First, be yourself and just really be true to yourself.
Genuine, yeah.
And then learn everything you can about the business. So the first thing that, when my nephew Alan J came in, the first thing I said to him was, you have to go on at least 10 inspections before you can work with one buyer.
That's interesting. No, nobody does that.
Nobody does that.
Nobody
No.
does that because they don't even know they'll get they'll get a deal and do the inspection. They don't know.
They don't know what's gonna
They
be.
don't know what they're looking at.
Right.
Right.
So
That's
he,
interesting.
he went with, probably ended up doing more than 10, maybe 12, 15, and some different inspectors. And he learned a lot about how to truly show a house. Because what buyers care about is how much money is this going to end up costing them. And they don't want to do 2 or 3 inspections. It's $350 an inspection.
Yeah.
You're going to spend $1,000 and not get anything?
So you
I
gotta
don't
know what
think
you're
so.
looking
Get the
at, yeah.
inspection, then you get the appraisal too. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
Well, we
interesting. I
don't-
want to ask you guys about that.
We'll talk
too.
about we'll talk about appraisals for sure.
So those are a couple of probably the 3 first things. Really know who you are first and why you're getting into this. What your motivation is.
Yeah.
Learn the processes, learn the documents, learn the forms, learn the essentials of actually doing a transaction, and then learning about homes, because most people come in working with buyers first, and then after a couple of years, it segues into at least doing some listings.
Right.
So those are the probably the core.
And just for those that are
That's-
listening, Alan's doing a great job now. Like,
Yes.
he's really. I
it's
mean,
super interesting because
He was born to do this too.
yeah, he loves it.
our
His
minds
Anthony
think
Robinson.
our minds think very alike because
Sure they
to
don't.
relate it. No, I have a lot of relations here, just from what you've been saying. But in my mind, a new loan officer should sit with a mortgage processor for a week or two before
There you go.
before they ever talk to a client,
I
because they need to understand what happens behind the scenes, how a mortgage actually works, because that'll help
There
them.
you go.
I think one of the worst mistakes you can make is attaching to someone who will do it for you.
That's the
Right?
It's the
horrible.
worst. You can't
Like
have someone do-
hey,
Right.
you go up to their desk, like, I don't know what's going on.
I got it.
I'll handle it, right? You didn't learn. It might have been done. You don't know how to explain it to the client.
That's the easy way to do it, though.
Yeah.
People gravitate
But-
towards it.
And there's a lot of people who are
'Cause it's
like,
easier
I don't
for-
even
yeah,
want to
as a
teach this
leader.
person or help. I just want it done, right?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be issues for me if I don't, as opposed
Right.
to teaching them how to do it. And that's like,
Something I struggle with lately.
yeah.
Well, it's like
I'll just do it for
treating
you.
an illness
Yeah.
over treating the symptoms, right? You can treat a symptom real quickly, but the illness you've got to get in and deep and try to figure it out. That's how I look at it.
I think it's pretty important that we understand everything from the ground up. From the core out. However, whatever metaphor we want to use on that.
Yeah.
And then it's good. Like it works really well. I was talking with friend of mine and an agent in our office named Eric last night, and Eric is thrilled. He's been in the business. Well, he's had his license for a long time, but he's came back in the business about 8-9 months ago, and started with us over at Town and Country. And it just wasn't clicking for him there, in part because, the way the training modules and the help and the support and the encouragement and all of that just really wasn't there in the same way.
Right.
Now he's got 3 closings this week.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and he's thrilled.
For
And
sure, that's
we
a big
sat
deal,
down, we
yeah.
talked last night, and I said, in the next 12 months, what I want him to do is to have $150,000 closing, $200-ish thousand closing, and a 300-ish. And if he did 3 closings a month, it's not a lot to ask in this market.
Not
right?
really.
It's
No,
not a
it's
lot,
not
like,
true.
That he would be on track, and anybody listening, you would be on track for having a $200,000 year.
Right. When you break it down like that,
Right.
it seems
That's
very
all you get-
attainable.
Right, and that's that thing about taking it down to a core.
Breaking it
Get
down.
150, a
Break it down
200-ish, a
backwards,
300-ish. You're going to end up with a $200,000 year.
Yeah. But then you got those agents
And
that
that
are
can
like,
change your life. Like if you knew
That
every
will
year,
change your
if
life.
you knew every year for the next, 10 years or how long you wanted to be in it, that's essentially what you have to do.
yeah. Yeah.
How would you feel? You'd feel good about paying off student loans, about buying a house, about, knowing when and where and how you're going to take vacations.
But people look at the $1 million listing shows and all this stuff, and they want the big hitter, right? They want to go big. I'm going to go big. I'm going to go big. Well, you got to do the work, right? You got to do the work to get there. It doesn't just happen.
You're not going to get those $1 million listings
not realistic.
unless you just absolutely point that that's the direction and the only direction you're going to go. And then you have to have a big enough marketing
You gotta have a
budget to be
helicopter.
able to
Yeah.
jet ski. Right?
Yeah.
And even that guy's not getting them. He's not getting them
Yeah.
right now.
He's doing all right. I actually talked to
doing
him.
all
He's,
right.
yeah, but he's a good kid, but he's
For how long he's been doing it though, that's like what you have to do.
Yeah,
to,
well,
like,
he went
put-
into he went into management though, right?
he went. Yeah, he did.
All right.
Yeah, he did.
Why?
I don't know.
Right.
Please
Question.
don't- so in this business, we find that it's cutthroat. It's super cutthroat.
And it doesn't have to be.
But it is. But you're right.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be, but it is. The reality is it's cutthroat, and there's not a lot of loyalty. Like it's money driven a lot of times,
no loyalty.
and it's tough to. We work with a lot of different agents, and the ones we work with, we're very fortunate that like we build a real relationship. We're not just transactional. So talk to me about in the 20 years that you've been doing this, how you've kept yourself A, humble, and B, kind of kept yourself away from that dirt. Because it can get dirty.
So I care more about the people than the profit.
That's okay. It's big.
So it's
Yeah.
just kind of as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's hard to find someone with that mindset
Yeah.
in, this,
and
in this industry.
Because there's a lot of money in it.
Yeah.
there is, and there's enough to go around.
There is.
Absolutely.
The pie's big.
The pie's really big.
But everybody's stepping on each other's toes, or like it gets kind of cutthroat sometimes, and it's like,
yeah,
and
but those people end up kind of going away also after a while.
Yeah.
They don't. You see that they don't really stick around,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's because they're eating themselves up from the inside.
they're
Burning-
profit driven, not
Profit driven, and
Yeah.
and you can smell that on people.
At some
can.
point, there's no more bridges to
If
burn.
I were like looking at you like you're my paycheck, you're
That's
not
it.
gonna
So,
feel
no,
good. I'm
I
gonna have
feel
that
that.
creepy look.
like you feel it inside you.
Don't look at me like that.
Well, I think looking at me like that for.
anyone in this business
Yeah,
who
you feel dirty. Right?
Yeah. I'm gonna shower now.
man. I think anyone in this business who will be successful understands that it's not about the one deal, right? It's
Right.
hey, I ended up doing this for free just to
Yeah.
get it closed, right? Appraisal came in low.
Yeah.
They didn't have enough money. We gave up all our commission to close it. Kind of sucks, right? Yeah,
Sure,
I mean, we
for
have
sure.
expenses. We're a business. We got to keep the lights on.
But it's doing the right thing.
I know that this person loves that house, and what I did for them will grow, right?
Yeah.
But most people don't think like that, unfortunately. Most people are
No,
like,
they-
Or they don't
But
have
you
the
can't,
ability
and
to.
You don't always can. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't.
You
I
can't
was
work
able
for
to
free
work.
forever. We are a
No.
for-profit business. We always say
Right.
this. We are for profit, but we can do good work within that
That's
scope.
right.
We can.
Yeah.
I look at
Not
it as-
everyone's going to get a free deal, but
No.
you
I-
know, once in a while to get something done.
I
mean,
believe there's a value for working with us, and that's how I
Yeah.
feel. And I don't feel bad making money because I do good work. Now, if I didn't, I'd be ripping people off.
Right. So I want to talk to you about this just
here we go. Sal's
specifically
gonna
for a
interview.
minute. Okay. So you're asking me about where this kind of mindset all comes from. So I don't always talk about this, but I want to talk about my dad for a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
Going
So yeah, going kind of deep on this, and actually behind that would be his parents. So I come from a background where my great grandparents, some of them were we're from the South, slave owners,
Okay.
and so on my dad's side, my dad's mom's side, they were abolitionists.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. How'd that
Yeah,
happen?
I don't know, Hatfield McCoy kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, the world changed, and
That's a good mix, though. You got a lot of-
my
lot of good stuff there.
grandfather was born in 1886.
Got it.
Wow.
So
You got roots,
Old,
old
yeah, some
roots.
old stuff, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's my dad with kind of this strong ethical mindset. World War II breaks out. Right? He was born in 24. So he's like 19, and he joins up. So he joins 101st Airborne
Got it.
as a medic.
Sal, you're
Trained.
you like this stuff.
Yeah,
This-
this is my stuff.
This is
This
yeah.
is-
Sal's is rough.
Sal's-
Sal's- you're getting Sal's whistle wet. Like he's excited.
My dad did the second Normandy jump.
Wow.
Wow.
Get out of here. Wow.
Yep. Never talked about it a lot, but
That's. I mean, that speaks a lot to his character. I mean, that takes
19.
balls.
Yeah.
19 going into 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At 19, I didn't.
Yeah,
even,
so
wow.
the second jump doesn't get talked about a lot, but he was in the medical corps that cleaned up,
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Did the dirty
Oh
job.
my goodness. Could you
Yeah,
imagine
patched
going
up.
down there?
patching up guys,
Wow. So
Getting 'em
that.
out.
How did that affect you?
doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Like
built
you
in you
put
now.
you can put yourself off to the side and know and just understand that when it comes down to it and there's something that really needs to be done right, you just do it.
Wow.
You just do it.
That's
yeah,
truth.
I mean, there's not really another option, right? Like especially when that's like your job, right?
Yeah.
And people depend on you and count on you. For us, it's not life and death, right?
No.
But in that instance, it's insane, you know. And to go through something like that, come out and then live a normal life, like blows my mind.
Well, I
couldn't.
don't know how normal.
Well,
it is, but
nonetheless, but you know what
normal.
I mean. To
Yeah.
live a life that seems normal, to assimilate with the rest of society after seeing, undoubtedly,
Coming back from
the
that.
largest
Right.
horrors in the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's insane.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So that's where it comes from. I mean, it comes from kind of like a family history place. And I kind of encourage people to like get to know their family roots, like get to know your history.
Tells you where
if
you're
you ever
from.
like sit down and ever talk to your grandparents,
Oh yeah.
Not an option anymore.
not an option
Yeah.
anymore.
I have.
I did when they were
I
alive.
did video interviews with my grandfather in Greece before he passed, and I asked him deep questions, and I have it all recorded. And I did that because I didn't want to lose that. I knew that the time was short. I'm very, very, very thankful I did that. But had I not done that, I could have lost all that. There's no way. My dad doesn't know all that stuff either, right? That's coming from my grandfather's mouth, and he's been through a
Right.
lot. So I encourage anybody, to your point, if you have loved ones that have lived through things, record it. Like, write it down. Learn it, because it is where you came from. And no matter what, it's in your DNA. And that's who
It's
you are.
there,
Yeah.
right.
And regardless, our DNA, like it's a copy of people over time, and that's who we become, right? So my mom's side's a little crazier. I don't talk to them. So
It's okay.
my mom's side's a little crazier. But okay, so that's awesome. So
Yeah.
obviously character, all this stuff is really, really important. I want to talk to you. By the way, you're getting a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
you
Adam's
obviously
in.
affect a lot of people, because we don't get this many people actually. Like, I mean, Adam, Kelly,
Is Adam in?
Anderson,
Adam's
yeah,
in.
Mike
He's like, I'm
Lipinski,
in.
Everybody's. So talk to me about what you're seeing in the market, because you are a stats person, right? Your numbers, and I saw you do a post where you actually broke down listings compared to solds, compared to pendings and all that.
Yeah, and I'm about ready to post another one. 'cause
Yeah.
we're getting ready to the end of this month.
Because I think we're at a point where everybody's starting to realize there is a shift coming. We're probably going into a recession pretty soon. It's not going to be like 2008.
No, it's going to be more like 2000, like the .com.
Correct. It's going to be a normal recession, correction, 3%, 2% decrease, whatever it may be. Rates are good. Yeah, could be whatever it is. But the point I'm making is that it's happening. Something's happening. Yeah. So what are you seeing numbers-wise on the very tip of the needle where you're living at? You kind of catch it early because you're looking at all these little numbers that not a lot of people look at.
Right. Well, I'm looking at the statistics daily anyway. So I'm seeing that there's more property on the market right now than there's been in a really long time. Okay. And that's been consistent for about 4 or 5 months now.
Got it.
And it's not coming off as quick. And we're getting as many price changes as we are pendings. Mm-hmm. So that's flat.
Yes.
And that says that to me that the sellers are overly optimistic about the prices of the home because we shouldn't be getting this many price reductions.
Got it.
And, I think that
so
what happens is a lot of agents, and I've done it too. I mean, I was like out there, it can be a listing whore. Sorry, whoops.
You can swear, you can say shit.
We have explicit.
I think it's a swear word.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can say whatever you want.
Get the listing, right?
Yeah.
Get the listing. But if you
tell them whatever they want to hear.
But also, we're looking at statistics that go back 90 days to 180 days where prices are fine, actually. Prices are actually kind of up, but we're overcooking it. Mm-hmm. We're pulling them up even a little bit higher than they should be. Like if a house should be at 259, maybe it's going to right, exactly, something like something in that range.
Do you attribute that to last summer? People are trying to replicate what happened last summer, and they're trying to get into it early.
Yeah, and I also think that I heard it 3 times last week, or the past few days anyway. People saying that they want to grab as much equity as they can right now, and they're looking to possibly rent.
Yeah, people are cashing out.
Crazy.
If you have investment properties,
right.
I would sell right now. Yeah. Personally, if let's say I had 20 investment properties, I'd sell 10 of them, 5 of them.
Yeah, maybe
get
5.
the equity out, get cash, put some cash reserves in. There's some arguments for that, and I don't think that's stupid. But I also think if you're selling your house right now, you've got to list it correctly.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, what is kind of crazy on our end of things, if you have a qualified buyer, we are getting a ton of property inspection waivers, which means you don't have to get an appraisal.
Yeah.
Even on
purchases,
Freddie Mac.
On attached condos,
yeah,
which is a first I've seen.
I mean, cash out transactions.
And when I make that call, right, I say, listen, we don't need an appraisal.
Like, what do you mean?
Or I'll talk to the agent. Did you guys go in high expecting to come in low, right, to renegotiate? And if they say, no, this is the nicest one, right?
Then we don't have to do an appraisal.
There's no comps that will support it. We think it's going to come in low. The seller doesn't want to let it go for less. All right, let's do the PIW, right? That makes sense, and they paid for it, and now that's a new comp, right? It's driving things up, though, without having an appraiser look at it. And unfortunately for appraisers looking back, they can only do so much for the market going forward, right? And that, I think that those inspection waivers help us and also hurt us, right? Some people definitely overpay for homes with those.
A lot of it is it's a hybrid inspection waiver, though.
Yep.
Yeah, all that's fine, but what I really want to get to is so all this data is coming in, and you're seeing it. As a real estate agent, as somebody in the business, what does that mean, and how do you prepare for the next phase in this process?
So that was one of my motivating questions for thinking about changing brokerage.
Okay.
I want to know who has already thought through all of this, who's already anticipated all of this.
Because you got to be ahead of it.
Who's got to be ahead of the curve.
You got to be.
Right.
Because if not, you're already lost.
Dr. Adam.
Right. That's right, Dr. Adam.
I don't even know.
So that's exactly why I made not exactly, but that's 90% of why I made the change that I made and who I went with is for that training. Because if you think about the last 10 years, we've just been on an up cycle.
Yeah.
You haven't had to learn how to work with depreciating values or anxious buyers or, sellers that are over anticipating what they're going to get. So that's it's all getting trained properly.
So preparing for the different market.
Right. Putting more tricks in that bag and knowing where they're at so you can pull them out and use them. And I don't mean like tricks as a trickster way, but just, maybe tools is a better word than tricks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Just to understand that. And sometimes, let's go back to this, doing a proper interview with the client up front, really trying to find out what they're about, why they want to buy, what their real budget is, what their areas are. Can you find them what they're looking for in the place that they're looking at? Sometimes you just can't. Like if somebody wants ocean view in Detroit, I can give you river view, but I can't give you ocean view.
yeah.
It just doesn't.
But sometimes buyers don't even know what they want, and a good agent will get them to that point.
Really, to do a deep dive interview. I guess we'd call it qualifying them.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
qualifying them. And that saves a lot of, a lot. You
Time.
guys are great at You get their income, you get their assets, you get all of that. On our side, just I got a buyer and you're cute and I like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
let me meet you out and show you 20 houses.
Right.
And they're like,
I don't want to live any of it.
Yeah.
they don't want to live in
Yeah.
any of them.
Yeah. So you definitely have to figure out who they are, what they want, right? What are your goals?
So just learning how to interview people, so that they don't feel like they're being interviewed, that you're having a real live conversation with them.
Well, you got to care about them.
and knowing your
And
product.
most people don't know how to ask intrusive, detailed questions. They're not.
Well, because they don't really know how to go there, and they just want the deal too, right? So,
Right.
So they'll take whatever they say. I want to buy a house. Cool, let's go. Like you
Yeah.
said,
Right.
right? Well, let's
They
figure
sent me
this. Let's do
18
this right.
listings, and the worst is when you go and show all these homes, and then they come back, and they talk to their mortgage guy or whoever it is, and they're like, "Whoa, that's way out of our budget."
Talk to people about taxes.
Yeah.
Taxes are a big deal, right?
Oh yeah. I want to move to Grosse Pointe. All right, $15,000 in taxes.
I want to move to Hazel Park.
Oh yeah,
Hazel Park.
Want
What
to buy an
happened?
investment?
Can someone tell me what happened with Hazel Park's taxes?
Well, it's because the tax
It's
base
always
is
been-
so
It's
so
always
low.
been okay. Yeah.
So the millages this year are actually less than what they were last year, as more people move into the city and there's more tax base for the city to grow.
It's
right?
almost like Detroit.
So
Right? Detroit always had higher
Yeah.
taxes, right? Same
Yeah.
thing. Right?
eventually, when they have enough taxes coming in, the
Mm-hmm.
millages will
You
return
hope
to normal.
so, right? But
Depending
still,
if
their
it ever
their
gets there.
non-homestead's 91.
Yeah,
That's
it's
crazy.
I think it's 78 for
homestead.
yeah.
Just to talk about what's happening in the economy going forward and kind of how you got to get prepared for it, just so the audience knows. Yesterday we got a message that says Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are going to be tightening up their qualifications and probably like 30% of
There you
deals
go.
that we were going to get
There you
approved
go.
before are not going to get approved. And that speaks volumes to me
Oh,
in
yeah.
the sense that Fannie and Freddie are realizing
They're seeing it.
They're seeing it coming. They're preparing for it. And we don't want to have the foreclosure problem and put people in bad loans. So we're going to get tighter. So people that were getting approved before, we'll run to you potentially, and when this change happens, and someone might have 700 credit, they might not qualify with 3% down because now Fannie Mae wants to see them put 10% down.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting tighter, and people are starting to move towards there to protect and insulate the business. I like that because it protects our industry.
Right.
We need that because otherwise, if it's gluttony and everybody's just going for the money, then we go back to where we were. Right.
I don't like
Greed will kill us.
I don't like the way that they're potentially doing it. That could cause some issues with pre-approvals, where you issue a pre-approval.
I
and
don't.
then-
We haven't.
Nothing's
we
worse
haven't-
than when
yeah, we haven't.
DU or LP, which is Fannie and
Fan-
Freddie's automated underwriting systems. Nothing's worse than when you write a pre-approval. They
They
come up
change the
with an
rules.
update within that 30-day period, right?
Yep.
We don't
Get
even
an ex-
know when it's released or who's using it because
Yeah.
lenders implement them at different times. They have like a window that they can implement
Wow.
it by, right? So all of a sudden you rerun that system
When they have
for
a
someone who's
contract.
putting 3% down, doesn't work.
Yeah. So
right? And
any-
you got to scramble, you got to figure it out.
So
the worst.
as professionals, we have to be ahead of that, just like you said, and prepare for it. But it's difficult because a lot of people that think they're pre-approved, and even we think are pre-approved, we go to run it again. So we're going to have to be very on top of it and run all our pre-approvals
I wish
again,
that
just to be safe.
Oh,
Fannie
Yeah.
and Freddie would put much more emphasis on reserves, right? I think
Yeah.
that's the
they
big
used
factor.
to, didn't they?
They do,
They
but
used to,
I mean,
yeah.
you can get into a house. It's like, dude, you need
They want
$4,222 to close. You have $4,221. Put $1 in the bank and let's go.
Yeah.
It
Right.
used to be 2.5 months.
It used to be anything. It could have been
Depends.
6
It
months. could be
depends
a
whatever
year,
the
yeah.
system says,
Okay,
but I think
right.
now, like if they're thinking about the future and what actually matters, I mean, you can have someone who puts 3% down on a $400,000 house. Their DTI is 49.99%, and it's going approved. and they have zero cash reserves.
Right.
Right.
But what
Then
they
you got
want-
another guy who's maybe got low DTI, a mark on his credit. He puts 3% down, but he's got $100K in savings. Sorry,
Sal, you know what
won't
they
do
want?
it.
You know what they want? They want equity, and we're gonna see that higher down payments will go approved over lower. Because if there is a correction, let's say there's a 5% correction, well, they want 10% equity, so they retain another 5%.
Well, it's
right?
not only that they want you
No.
to actually put your skin in the game, right? They don't want cool. You got $100K in the bank, but if
I think
it
they
comes
want-
down to
I
it,
think they want
you
equity.
need to
Well, yeah.
keep that in the bank, and I'm screwed on my asset or my collateral, right?
Potentially, I don't know.
Yeah,
There's-
I think it's a combo of the both that they got to look at. I'm sure that the guys sitting behind there aren't just like,
No, they know what they're doing.
putting it out there. I'm sure they're calculated
yeah.
in their efforts.
They know
but
what they're doing.
I mean,
No,
most
they
people
just
are
watch our
underwater when they
podcast,
put
and that's what
minimum
they're
down,
doing.
anyways.
Yep.
You know, I bought my house with minimum down.
I did
I could
too.
walk away with a cool 10 G's.
Yeah.
Right after I sell it, after paying commissions and transfer taxes and owner's title. I mean,
Yeah.
you're there.
yeah,
I put minimum down in mine. But in my mind, it was I'll keep my cash liquid. It's a long-term debt anyway. It's going to
but
appreciate.
we're gonna see less of that because we're gonna see
But over
those
30
now.
years, it's still going to appreciate. My house is still going to appreciate.
You're also got three
it's an
kids in
asset.
your or 4 kids.
Yeah.
But Jesus,
Three?
Sal.
How
many kids? How many kids do you have?
How long do you know me?
And you're 30. Your life's already set.
I don't know how.
Yeah,
I don't know how
it's
you
sad.
have so many
That's
kids.
why I said
All right,
I'm
he's got
retiring
a
in 10
pool.
years.
All right, the show's ending, but we do this thing Nancy called 3 questions.
Okay.
All right, so they're 3 totally random. One's static. We do it every show. The first one we do every show is what scares Nancy Robinson.
What scares me?
We don't ask everyone about you, but
Yeah, no. Yeah. What scares you? It could be anything.
Oh boy.
She doesn't get scared easily,
Yikes.
people. Yeah, she's not afraid of anything. Maybe this
No.
question she's
I'm
afraid
afraid of your questions. Yeah. I can't think of anything.
Really?
Yeah.
Nothing scares you.
Maybe it's the
can't think of
genetics.
it.
You'll jump out of a plane if you have to.
I know, right?
It could be a
Don't
spider.
No,
No, nothing.
I'm bigger than spiders.
Scary
Heights?
movies? Nothing?
Scary what?
Movies?
I don't like them. I don't watch them.
So you're scared of scary movies?
I guess. Yeah. I don't
Dark-
like 'em.
Dark
I have
Forest?
It's Dark Forest. Already have a scary movie way in the way back of my head that can override any of the other ones.
That's awesome.
And I'm not scared of that. And I don't know.
Stay out of the
I
forest.
have to think about that.
Okay, so I'll give you another question. You ready?
Yeah.
If you could have any human's knowledge downloaded into your brain, the one person, right? It could be Einstein. It could be, whose brain would you download in your brain and have all their knowledge?
That's a good question.
Uh-huh.
I like that.
I got 2.
You do too. Yeah, that's
I
fine.
did 2.
You didn't answer the last one, so you get it too.
Warren Buffett came first.
I mean, he's pretty smart.
Yeah, and then Jesus came second.
He probably knew some stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder.
God's brain.
Yeah, all right.
God's brain.
Then you know
You
everything.
just go right there.
You can make a lot of money, and you know everything, and you can heal people.
Hey,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It didn't end well, but
yeah.
The last one.
Yeah, do you have to have all their experiences? Too?
No.
I don't know if I want to be
just all the
crucified.
knowledge.
oh man.
It's
Yeah.
part, it's part
as
of the
long as I
knowledge.
could eject it after,
Yeah.
right? Like I'd want to know it for a minute and then be like, all right, I don't
Done.
know if I want to know all that. You know?
No, I don't
That's
think
too
you can do
bad.
that.
Yeah, I don't think
No.
no, no.
It's there.
Last question. This one's just fluff. If you could be any animal in the animal kingdom, what would it be and why?
I'm like already a dog, so it's cool.
What?
Wait. What?
Yeah, dog.
I mean, hey, I don't blame her. Dog's life is
Yeah.
heaven.
Heaven.
Yeah, I mean,
like a lap.
I look at my dogs
like
like,
what kind of
man, what
dog?
a
A
life.
lap dog? Like a Doberman? What kind of dog?
Just a fluffernutter mixed breed. It's fine.
A fluffer what?
Like a fluffernutter, just some fluffy, shaggy dog.
Just a dog that could just eat, drink, and just lay in the sun all
Yeah, I'd
day.
want to
Yeah,
be
so
an English
dogs are
bulldog.
Dogs are
dogs
awesome.
super cool because they'll lay in wait. They're they're kind of
I think it depends on the owner of the dog.
Well, they
I
have
mean, they're just like-
relationships.
Well,
they
duh.
interact with humans that in no other way that any other animal.
Right.
Truth.
Listen, I don't know. I'm not a
Super
cat guy.
bond,
I
yeah.
hate cats.
Yeah.
Kind of.
super bond.
Cats are evil.
No, cats are fine.
They're
Cats are-
okay,
Yeah,
but they're
cats are fine.
scared.
Have you
They're-
ever
You guys
looked
are
at-
scared
Cats
of
are
cats.
bitches.
Have you ever
Cats
looked at
are
a cat?
bitches.
Yeah.
They're plotting to
well,
kill
when
you.
I walk by, ever since I walked by a couch and I was wearing like flip flops or something, so my ankles, yeah, just
Well, cats are nice,
Trying
and
to
all of a
cut
sudden
my
they'll bite you.
Achilles,
Like
yeah.
they'll purr and
But-
then they'll bite you.
But like also
bitches.
like when dogs, they just want to cuddle with you and hang out,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're
they're usually more chill.
Yeah.
they're way more chill. Yeah.
Some dogs,
and
I
they'll play.
would-
They'll play with you.
Yeah.
They'll
Some-
take a walk with you.
I relate
Give
some
you a
dogs
kiss when you
though
need one?
are like sharks, where they're just like reactionary. Like when you throw it a treat, it just bites no matter what. And then there's other dogs are like whales, right? Like they'll look at it, they'll nudge the treat around, they'll smell it, they'll be like, nah,
No,
I'm good on
no,
that.
I'm good
Another
on that.
dog, you could throw it a marble and it would just break
Yeah.
its teeth on it, right?
You
Yeah, I
ever
have a dog
try
like
to
that.
take like a
I got one of each of those.
like a stick away from a dog? It's
Yeah.
gotta play, right?
Yeah.
They just want to play with
They
you.
just wanna
They're
play.
just
Yeah.
gonna keep, and they're gonna win.
All right, next week on
Yeah.
the dog show.
Dog. Yeah.
So,
Dogs.
Nancy,
New podcast idea.
I
Dogs
can't.
rule.
I can't thank you enough for being on our show. I know
Oh, you guys are great.
took
Thanks for
time
having
out of
me.
your life
This
to be
flew
here.
by.
It did fly by. Tell the audience.
Adam, are you next? You out there?
He said he's in.
Adam said he's in. He goes, I'm in. Thank you for the kind words, Nancy Robinson, a true professional, just so you know. Nancy, tell the audience how they can get a hold of you if they need any help with real estate or I think.
Okay,
yeah.
sure. My cell's
Go cell
248
phone. That's good.
224-1013.
One more time.
248-224-1013.
And give that Gmail account.
Yeah, nancy.robinson01gmail.com.
Do you do text or phone calls, or
Yeah,
prefer
absolutely.
one or
Yeah.
the other?
Yeah, whatever.
Just communicate.
Just
So,
communicate.
If you're looking to
Message
list your
me any way
house,
you want.
if you're looking to sell your house, if you're looking to buy a house, if you're an
You just-
agent
Hey,
looking to get in the
if you're
business,
not sure if you want to, yeah, right, all of those. And if you're not sure if you want to sell or add on, call me on that too. I can help you out.
Yeah, no, Nancy.
No charge, just give you some good advice.
I will
on-
tell you right off the bat, Nancy's one of the most gracious with her time, and so we appreciate it. We really do. So thank you,
Cool,
everyone.
guys. Thank you.
We're out. See you guys next week. Oh, by the way, I think we got Barry Habib coming back on the show. It's gonna be good.
Nice.
not next week though, right?
Not next week.
No.
Right.